Hey everybody, you can start house cleaning now or do something and put on your headphones and just listen to this continuation of the Nietzsche talk, because I did not hone in on the topic why Nietzsche did not single out, isolate the narcissistic personality traits. You know, he looked so deep into the human psyche, but he did not isolate narcissism for some reason, or psychopathy, even though he admired people with narcissistic to psychopathic personality traits. So in other words, he was wrestling with exactly the topic of narcissism and psychopathy. He was even tempted to suggest that psychopathy is probably a representation of his will to power, but I believe he was not quite sure about it, because the pure psychopathic thriving for power, the pure will to power, is very cruel, toxic, and probably not representing libido, but rather destrudo. It's not the life drive, this is death drive, this is self-defeating. And maybe Nietzsche, within his lifetime, within his limited lifetime, did not figure it out right. So he did not bring together the will to power with the will to life, with compassion, forgiveness, love, ultimately self-love, because only when you love yourself, you preserve your own life and you're able to love others, which is arguably a huge source of purpose and meaning in life, and therefore an effective antidote to nihilism. So let me get there slowly to the point why I believe that Nietzsche did not single out narcissism or psychopathy, even though he was exactly wrestling with these personality traits, analyzing people with these personality traits, but he did not find similarities, try to categorize it or even pathologize it. He did not. Now the reason for that, in my opinion, is because Nietzsche was not concerned with others. He had a strong instinct, and his instinct was that it is a sign of weakness to blame others. And it was exactly what he was forbidding. He forbid himself to blame others who are strong and pathologize them, because he would self-diagnose slave morality in himself if he would do that. What do I mean with this? Now, if Nietzsche would say, well, this or that person is pathologically obsessed and is dysfunctional because of the pursuit of power, he would resemble a person with resentment, with hate for powerful people. Therefore, he instinctively did not allow himself to criticize people for exercising power. In other words, he was looking at the world and at results and outcomes, and he did not allow himself to criticize strong or seemingly strong people. Yet I believe it created some dissonance in his mind and something that he could not understand, and that was, at what point is the will to power, the pure will to power, the psychopathic will to power, pathologic, self-defeating and opposing the life drive. And in other words, how much compassion, love, understanding, forgiveness, how much healthy femininity, in other words, is necessary in the mix to make a functional human being. Anyway, yeah, I believe it was not his goal to do this, to find out, to blame certain groups of people or pathologize humanity. Because if you create a concept of what is pathologic and what is not, you start pathologizing everybody and yourself at the same time. And this was not his goal. So he definitely had the ability to find it out. He definitely was looking deep enough to single. He could have. I believe he could have had, if it was his goal, if this was what he would have pursued, he would easily have been able to describe borderline, narcissism, psychopathy, and distinguish them from each other. But this was not his goal. He was not out there to blame others, to pathologize others, and therefore elevate himself. He was absolutely brutally willing to just look at himself. And analyze other people without categorizing them. He did not allow himself to put other people in boxes, especially not the strong ones in some way. So yeah, that's what I believe. So I believe he would have the ability. He was even seeing these things, but he did not categorize them or pathologize them, because he was about dissolving categories, open categories, not create new categories. He was about dissolving all these limitations. In other words, by not pathologizing narcissism, psychopathy, or borderline, whatever, he opened up the opportunity to see anything that is in the nature of man as potentially useful and valid in some way. So Nietzsche was an observer. He was not a clinician. He observed the human mind in such an individual, X-ray spec, deep vision. It was just the impression that he got. It was just a clear image. It was that he was guessing. He was really revealing completely hidden secrets of the human psyche. He impacted Freud and Carl Gustav Jung. If Nietzsche would have had the criticism of Carl Gustav Jung on his work, there would be unlimited potential. But Nietzsche is Nietzsche because he was unrivaled, and nobody could Nobody could stop the depth and straightness of his analysis. That's because Nietzsche is Nietzsche because he's Nietzsche. Yeah. And he made this deep analysis and observation, and he left this for us without putting, his philosophy is so open. It's not a finished product. It's not meant to put certain categories of people into boxes like this is a psychopath, this is a narcissist, this is a borderliner. No. He just laid the foundation for all of this by observing it. He had a deep impact on Freud, Carl Gustav Jung, and all psychoanalysis, on all psychology, on the whole field of psychoanalytics, on everything in the field of psychology. He had a deep impact. And that is because his psychology and philosophy was so open. His perception and his monumental effort to reinvent the potency of language itself by mixing up and combining and finding synergies within philology, poetry, and narration to create an extreme dense form of language and meaning that is unparalleled in probably all philosophy. Nobody can write so dense information and philosophy like Nietzsche. When you read Nietzsche, sometimes you read one sentence and you put the book away, and you chew on this sentence the whole day. That's Nietzsche. So yeah, he did not intend to create a finished product. He did not intend to create new categories, new boxes. He was a liberator of thinking, of feeling, of seeing, of being, and therefore he was so impactful, and he laid the foundation for modern psychology, and he laid a foundation for things that we don't see yet, that are not there yet, for philosophy to come. So yeah, we have to understand that Nietzsche had a soft side, a loving side, and therefore he was so hard. But he was so hard to himself first. Therefore he did not blame anybody. He did not pathologize other people, because he knew this would be the spirit of slave moral and victimhood, and exactly that what he was fighting, resentment. Yeah, he had this straightness, a limitless straightness, like laser, like light. He did not create a finished product, and he was aware of that. Nietzsche was aware he is a genius. Nietzsche was aware he is not recognized as a genius. Nietzsche was aware that his philosophy is not a finished product. This is what he said to us. He told us that the Übermensch is not defined by him. He just gave us some rough idea about it. Nietzsche described the problem of nihilism, and that it will not be easy to find an antidote for this. Okay, so religion and spirituality is an externalization of meaning and purpose. It's a psychotic solution for self and world concept. And when we internalize all of this, it's narcissistic. It means the world is dying because we suck in the whole world and we become the purpose. And the whole world dies. And, So what is the solution to this? Because none of these modes is healthy. This is probably nihilism. The danger of understanding that the psychotic solution of externalized purpose and meaning is a killing of oneself and the loss of self-agency, and the narcissistic solution to internalize all of this is also killing the whole world, and also needs you to sacrifice your true self, your authentic self. And he understood this. And he knew it's not easy to solve this. And he developed many concepts that are all not finished and closed. It's not closed books, it's open books. He created open ideas, like open source, because he was not interested to sell a finished product that is copywritten. He intended to save mankind and keep it progressive. Therefore he opened his philosophy, and he even encouraged others to overcome him, to criticize him, to falsify him, and also to take on the ideas that he suggested and keep developing them, filling them with colors, with meaning, weaving these patterns on, filling the open canvas with new values, new ideas. Yeah, so he did not close the books. He did not finish ideas, because he knew this would mean another end, another cage for another problem for humans, another pathology. So to wrap it up, I believe he had the ability to describe narcissism and single it out, and it would have been easy for him to blame narcissists for many problems in the world, but he did not do, because he knew that this just creates a new pathology, a new resentment, and it would be slave moral. He was mistrusting any weak person who criticizes a strong person for abusing them. Nietzsche was about overcoming everything. Nietzsche was about understanding, as a person that criticizes narcissism, that Nietzsche would rather change himself so that a narcissist cannot hurt him anymore than finding a victory in criticizing and pathologizing narcissism. He would rather say, I want to learn to implement a healthy narcissism in myself and strive to power so that the narcissist has no power over me anymore. Something like that. So that's my idea why he was not doing this. He was not a clinician. Nietzsche had a straight observation and a rigid discipline to not blame others, but to look at himself and apply everything that he observed on his own individual level.